All right, straight to the point. I have a 20-minute power test today, and yeah, gonna go to the velodrome, obviously. Mock Apparel came out with cycling kits, so they had me looking all matchy-matchy. They're really nice kits. And yeah, quick little Spro before I go, and that is Doobie's right shoe right there, tied to my bars. He brought 2 left shoes for his brick, so I have to now drop off that shoe where he parked. So, go team. Got my Fluid blueberry palm drinks in the back, and then a Unived double espresso with 100 milligrams of caffeine and a vanilla one for before and after the test. Yeah, I understand this looks like a huge advertisement, but thank you to these brands because all this shit's expensive, and I wouldn't be able to do this sport without them giving it to me for free. So, thank you. Also, thank you to everyone who has ever supported me on Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, like truly from the bottom of my heart. I'm not doing this for you guys, I'm doing it for myself, but I wouldn't be able to do it for myself without your guys' support. So, really appreciate it, and I'm gonna go hurt myself. Not my day. Ooh, yeah. God. So 385 average, probably pretty similar normalized, and yeah, not my day. Sun came out a little bit, and I don't know. I was good through like 8 minutes, and then just started to not be able to really hold the cadence I wanted to anymore, and it was kind of just hanging on for dear life for a while. Yeah, I thought I would be over 400 even in TT, but today was not the day. I didn't know about this till yesterday, so it's in the middle of a big week, middle of a big block, and I was kind of having a good streak of bike workouts. I guess today was the end of that streak. I mean, 385 is not bad, but I really thought I would be 10-15 watts higher than that. But we'll have to wait for another time.
Howdy everybody, welcome back to another sit down. Before I start babbling about my cycling progression over the last year, which by the way today is October 26th, and probably by the time I post this it'll be October 28th, which is exactly 1 year since my Wahoo kicker arrived in Seattle, and I was injured and it was raining every day, and I wanted to go hard on the bike, stay fit, because I could tell it was kind of going to be a long comeback from this injury. So set it up that day and had to do an FTP test because that was my first time ever cycling with power. And so almost 1 full year of cycling. It has honestly flown by, and I am so glad for that injury. So glad, because I would not be biking, as a cyclist, or at least as a 1/3 cyclist, if not for that injury. So blessing in disguise, I guess, silver lining. But yeah, I often leave things out when I'm sort of just vlogging. So me sitting down with this microphone, I think, is a really good way for me to not forget some things that people want to know, like my next race, which is going to be Indian Wells 70.3 on December 5th. So that is my next triathlon. There's a Thanksgiving Day road race near me, the Manchester road race, that I may use as some sort of training stimulus, like bike really hard in the morning and then race, but that's not confirmed. But yeah, so California, December 5th, if you're going to be there, come say hi. And yeah, looking forward to hopefully improving upon my performance at 70.3 main. I'm in better shape across all 3 disciplines, especially swimming, and the bike is pretty good too. So yeah, and the tactics are going to have to be different as well, just because I know I'm going to come out with a deficit and I want to be in the race this time. So I'm going to be a little bit more risky on the bike instead of just sort of time trialing for 3.5-4 hours. But anyway, it has been about a year since I started biking, and what an absolute year. I love biking. I love it. It's a similar feeling to running, obviously, fatigue mostly centralized in the legs, but there's just something about, you're able to just go so much harder. You're able to suffer more on the bike. Maybe that's because the pain is so localized to basically your quads and glutes, versus running and swimming, which are just whole body, that it just feels like you're suffering more and you can suffer for longer. And I feel like it just has taught me a lot about enduring pain, which translates well to swimming and running. Anyway, yeah, so October 28th, got my kicker, set it up on the porch in Seattle, and first thing I did was knock out an FTP test. I wanted to know. So I went 344 watts for 20 minutes. Zwift gave me my FTP as 324 watts. And that was pre-YouTube channel. So I think honestly the only 20-minute effort that I have done, not on YouTube, but my good friend and former coach, Nick Aguila, reached out. I posted a story on Instagram when I got the kicker, and he said, "Hey, let me put your training together." And I trust him with my life, so I didn't know what I was doing. He put together a training plan. I think it was about 5 weeks, took me through a progression of workouts, and also helping me sort of come back from that injury. So I think by the time that 5 weeks was done, I was actually doing some workouts again, running, which was a bad idea. I shouldn't have been doing that, but I did. And yeah, so after that 5 weeks, I went 357 watts for 20 minutes, which I think put my FTP at 339 watts. And again, I just want to specify, one of the things that I have learned over this past year is that FTP is not your 1 hour power. Your functional threshold power is the power output at which your lactate production and your lactate clearing ability are equal. In other words, your power that you can maintain in a quasi-steady state without fatigue. So for some people, that's 40 minutes, and for some people, it could be 70 or 80 minutes. I don't think I could have done, at that time, 340 watts for an hour. But I did go 344 for, I want to say, 40-something minutes on an Alpe d'Huez Zwift run not long after that. So as far as my actual threshold, my FTP, which is kind of what I'm analyzing here, it seemed to be pretty accurate. And then I went to altitude in Albuquerque, and I was focusing on building up for this 5K, so mostly just hard running workouts and sort of sweet spot tempo workouts on the bike. Not much threshold, not much VO2 max, just zone 2 volume and some tempo stuff just to supplement the running. Then came down from altitude, and after the 5K, which was in Austin, I had a great time cycling with my old college coach Pete Watson and Grant Rogers and Breakfast Club down there, including one hard go up Courtyard, which I went 492 watts for just over 3 minutes. And I think it's worth mentioning that those first two 20-minute efforts were on the kicker. They were on the trainer, and then all of the other efforts thereafter are on my Favero Asioma pedal. First, just on the left-sided pedal. Later on this summer, when they sent me the dual-sided pedal, then they were on the dual-sided power meter. At one point in Austin, coincidentally also the night that I crashed my car, so great day, it was bike night or whatever at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, where they hold the F1 race. So I was biking on an F1 track, and Aquila gave me a 20-minute TT, so essentially a power test, but there were a lot of corners, and one pretty fat hill, and obviously a fat descent after that. So I went 372 normalized there, and this is still also on that old titanium road bike. And then went to Tucson, and no more significant, hard efforts on the bike. I was just training, and that's when James took over. I started being coached by James, and I think there was a 5-minute power test in there at 450-ish. But yeah, so 372, what is that? That puts my FTP at, in the 345, 350 range. And yeah, and that was my last really hard sustained effort before I got my TT bike. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say because on my new road bike, I don't actually have a great fit. Actually, I have a quite poor fit. I think the frame is just like slightly too big. I can't get over the pedals, and this is also reflected in the power data from my Favero Asioma Duo, which, because they're dual-sided, they can give me percentages left and right. And on my TT bike, it's like perfect 50-50 almost all the time. And on my road bike, it's sometimes it's literally like 35-65, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, it feels that way sometimes. Like the muscles that are being used are just way weaker on my left side. I just can't put out the same power. It's really frustrating. So I prefer doing workouts on my TT bike. But theoretically, your FTP in TT would be about 10, maybe 15 watts lower than your FTP on the road bike. So I actually did do it turned out to be a 1-hour power test on the Kank. There's a video earlier, several weeks ago, about that, where I'm at 355 for almost exactly an hour. And again, threshold is not 1 hour power. So I honestly felt like the whole effort was a bit under threshold. Like obviously when I was finishing up, there was a lot of lactate buildup. But I constantly felt, like I was under the edge. I was on the right side of that line almost the whole time, and I was really able to turn it on in the last 5-10 minutes, close to 370 of that effort. So hard to say exactly what my FTP is from that, but at least 355. And then earlier in this video, in TT, first 20-minute power test in the TT position, and 385, which, as I mentioned, I was not super happy with. Legs had been sort of trending in the wrong direction. I had a streak of great workouts, and then I think on another day I can definitely go 395, 400 watts in TT for 20 minutes, but I just sort of started falling apart a little bit on that one. But anyway, it's still, if we do some rough calculations, and I am by no means trying to say that I went 385 watts for 20 minutes. It's a power test. That's where I am. I'm not trying to say that I am better than what I did in that workout. But if we go back to, the sort of 10 to 15 watts would be conservative. We'll say 10 watts that you get going from a good TT bike fit to a good road bike fit. I can probably go 395 watts for 20 minutes on a road bike. And then the other thing that I had noticed over this past year is that once I got my pedals, every once in a while I would test the pedals with the trainer. I would have power on both, and I've done a couple workouts with both power meters. And the trainer is consistently 10 to 15 watts higher, like always. So what that kind of tells me is if I had started with my pedals instead of the trainer, that first test would have been around 335. And we'll just say we'll say 10 watts again to be conservative. 335 watts or 334 watts that first time, and then that second test would have been 347 because we're just accounting for the trainer reading a little bit high. That's really cool because if we take this 385 from the pedals, add on the 10 watts I would get from going to a road bike, and then add on the 10 watts that I would get from going to the trainer, that's about 405 watts for 20 minutes. And again, I'm not saying, I went 405 watts for 20 minutes. I'm just trying to gauge my improvement from October 28th to now, which is 344 watts. We'll just call it 345 to 405 watts.
In theory.
So my first year training the bike, first year as a triathlete, and I gained essentially 60 watts on my 20-minute power, which translates pretty well over to probably 60 watts on my FTP. Again, that's hard to measure. I don't know if you technically would need a lactate test to get your FTP, aside from estimating it, but about 60 watts on my 20-minute power, which I think that's pretty awesome, even with the 385, which I wasn't too happy with. What a great year. And thank you guys for watching again. And a lot of people have come over to the Patreon, and I, again, just it's at this point I'm like a crowd-funded triathlete. This is the only way I'm able to keep doing this. Paying the car payment, the loan payments. I can buy groceries. It's not luxurious living, but I'm doing it. I'm a professional triathlete, and I train all day and I make videos about it, and it's possible because of everyone who has been supporting me on Patreon and buying me Spros every now and then. I don't know how to pay you guys back aside from give it everything that I have, and that's what I'm gonna do, or at least I'm gonna try. Indian Wells 70.3, December 5th. I'll just let everyone know my plan right now. Hopefully someone will give me the time deficit out of the water, and it depends what it is, but assuming it's what I think it will be, 3 to 5 minutes, hopefully closer to 3, I will bike probably 345-ish, between 340 and 350 watts for the first 40-50 minutes, and try to bridge up. And if I do, then I hang the pack, run as hard as I can. And if I don't, I'm just gonna have to bike all out. I will blow my load on the bike if I need to catch that pack. Because this time I need to be a part of that race. I need to actually make up time on the bike instead of lose it. No excuses if there's bike packs. I need to be in the race this time, and that's what I'm going to do. And if I have to swim all out and bike all out to do it, that's what I'm going to do. Don't really care if the run legs are there or they're not. And I'm pretty confident that even if I completely fold myself on the bike, I can still run, 114, maybe 113. So, course dependent. I don't really know what the run course is like there, but enough that I can still probably catch a few people. So yeah, that's the plan for Indian Wells. And again, thank you for those who are supporting me. Thank you for getting me there in advance. And yeah, Peace out, everybody.